Now, let us look at a situation where we are changing the plot type to say we want to use the line type. Okay, so let us look at the example. Say we have these two vectors, x and y. Now, let's say plot x and y. And if you run this, you notice we have these 2 points. So now, let's say we want to change the plot type to that of line. So what we need to do is we're gonna come here and say type equals, and then we're gonna say L, so to specify the line type. And if you run this, you notice that we now have a line. So we can also add the xlabel. Say we say x-axis, and then we can also add the y-label and say, for example, we say this is y-axis. Let's run this. We have added the x and y label. Okay, so now let's say, for example, you want to increase, say for example you want to increase the size of your line. So you can say, in this case, you don't say cx, which stands for character expansion, but you say line width. Okay, so you say LWD becomes 2. So if you run this, you notice that we have increased the width of this line. So the size has increased. The same way we have different types of points, we can also have different types of lines. Say for example, we say the line type now becomes, say let's use 2 and run this. You notice we now have dashed lines. So you can also have, say 3 for the width of a line, say 3, and you say the line type becomes 3. So you notice that we have now changed the line types and also the line width. So the other option that we have is to say, what if we want to add the title? So let's say in our plots we have x and y labels. Okay, but now let's say you want to add the title and say, for example, this is x and y plots. So you see now we have added the title, but I left that part of adding the title because I wanted to demonstrate something. Say for example you want to say x and then you want to write y plots in a new line. So you want to split the title into 2 lines. So in order to do that, you simply have to come here and add in / and n, so to specify a new line. So this will now will split the title into 2 lines. So you have x and then we have a new line. So now let's just play with these new plots that we have. Say now we want to add the color of the line. Say the color of our line is going to be blue. Let's run this. So we'll see now we have changed the line to be blue. But now say for example you add option and say, in this case you will say PCH and then you specify 21. So you'll notice nothing has changed. If you say, right, and you say background color, say for example background color becomes red. Background color becomes red. So you'll notice nothing here seems to be changing, right? So that is because we have added the options that we use, or the arguments that we use when we are plotting the points. We now say apply that to lines and it does not work. So we can also say, for example, just add bold the line and the points on the same plot. So if we come here and say, for demonstration purposes, I'm going to keep on adding these arguments one by one. But now say you come here and say type, your type now is B. So now you notice that we have added both the lines and the points in the same plots. So we can now keep on manipulating, right? So let's say, for example, we say color becomes blue. So you notice now the whole plot becomes blue. When we had type equals L, nothing seemed to be working, but now we have type equals B for both the line and points. So let's say we say now and say the point of characters we say equals 21, and then we say the background color, say for example we use red. Let's run this. You notice that we have changed the background color of our points. So we can also increase the size. Say for example we specify 2, you notice that we have increased the size. But what about the line? You notice that there is nothing that is changed on the line. So in order to increase the width of our lines, we're going to say line width, and then if you run this, you notice that both the points and lines have changed. But what we want to do now is that we want to demonstrate how can we have our own limit in the x-axis and the y-axis. What do I mean by that? Look at these plots. We increase the size of the points and we increase the size of the lines. Now you notice that this plot no longer fits well in our desired x and y limits. So we can change the x's and y limits. Say for example, we come here and say x limit, and then we say we want the x-axis now, let's say it's going to start from 1 to 5, for example, right? So if you run this, you notice that now your x values start from 1 up until 5. You can also do the same for the y values by adding y limit and say let's the plot start from -3 up until 3, and let's run this. You notice that now our plot is clear. We can see where are the values starting and where are the values ending. So that is how you can also have your own desired x limit and y limit to specify where the values, where your x values should start and where your x values should end, as well as your y axis values.